round of applause to the members of the General Assembly, because they're the ones that give you the money. So give them a round of applause. This doesn't happen without bonding. Okay? Period. So, now, Mr. Amata's not here, but Carolyn's here, and she'll tell Mr. Amata about the thunderous round of applause for Honda doing something they don't have to do. Last week, and as I told him, we know that Jesus drove a Honda because when he went into Jerusalem, he went in a Accord. Anyway, think about it. It's one of those delayed jokes, okay? Anyway, it's good to be here with Ron Abrams. And first of all, to the students, you got some really cool medals up here, okay? And you've got some really cool certificates. And then you got some really cool green in those envelopes, okay? Now, you've got to call your mom and dad today. Okay? Make sure your mom and dad know how cool this was. Okay? And maybe mom and dad is here. Okay? And maybe you're a student and you got to call your mom. Okay? I mean, even if you're a mom yourself, maybe you can still call your mom. The fact of the matter is education, of course, and learning never ends. If it does, the brain begins to deteriorate. But this is a fantastic day for all of you. And I'm not saying that because it's a nice political thing to say. It's for real. You've earned it. You know, you are kind of like of excellence. And that's one of the things that we really need in our country is excellence in education. I had a long discussion last night at dinner with my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, a little bit with my wife, and I said, you know, I'm just sort of tired of people just being celebrated for the fact that they kicked the goal in a soccer game. Why don't we be bragging? You know, a lot of times now people, they define their children on the basis of what sports they play. That's not where I think we need to be as a culture and as a nation. I mean, we're all for sports. I mean, I love sports. My kids play it and everything else. But I'm more proud of the fact that my daughter got a high award for writing poetry. And I'm really excited about the fact that my other daughter seems to almost always end up with all A's on her report card. Because how they're doing in math and in English and in science and in the arts, you know, that's where it counts long-term in life. Now, the community colleges are really such an essential piece of the education fabric of our state. And we have, first of all, some really great institutions in this state, but they're underperforming. We could use our system of education, K through 12, the technical schools, the community colleges, and the four-year schools as an unbelievable economic driver, not just in America, frankly, but a message that can be put out across the world, because we have people from around the world that look at making investments in Ohio. And what they really want to know is, do we have qualified workers who are really smart? And I was at Honda the other day, and this will be the third time I've used this example, but it's a really important one. Getting a job at Honda is like fantastic, okay? But you just don't go get a job at Honda. You've got to bring some skills to the table. And one of the things that I learned on my visit to Honda is, while we have a capability of figuring out how to power cars or vehicles, we don't always know how to integrate the material that's used to build the cars with the system that we have to power the cars. They know how to do this in Germany, because BMW and Mercedes and Audi, they demand it. They demand it. And the education system responds for whatever reason to the demand. In our country and in our state, we should be the center of making things and the center of manufacturing excellence. Now, out of Honda, they don't just need engineers with a 4-year degree or a 5-year graduate degree, but we need those folks because those folks figure out how to design the program so that we have the best materials. But then we have to do adhesives, and we have to be able to do attachments, and we have to do integration. And that doesn't always come from somebody that needs a 4-year degree. Some of it can come from somebody that gets a lot of great experience in technical school in the 11th and 12th grade. And other parts of it come from a community college that's really geared to trying to meet the needs of industry. So there's a couple things we need to think about. We need to better integrate all for the 21st century. Do you know how many exciting things are happening in business today? And you think about some of the most recent companies that I've either visited or have located in Ohio or expanding in Ohio. You know, I don't have a teleprompter or any notes. These are just things that come from my heart, basically. But you go work at Honda, you go work in one of those buildings with that fast super track. I mean, they've got a track out there where you can go a couple hundred miles an hour. It's really important because that's where they test these vehicles. And there aren't that many test centers in Ohio. You work in the building and you prepare the track and you schedule the appointments. And it's really an awesome experience. It's exciting for young people to be connected to that. But you have to have technical expertise. We just had Philips Imaging bring their research and development operation to Cleveland, Ohio. And for you community college students, they don't need too many four-year graduates. They need very qualified, very well-educated, community college, two-year educated people. And it's just fantastic to get a job at Philips. They're the greatest imaging company in the world. You know where imaging is going? It's not just about, I had a car accident and I broke my arm. I did. But anyway, it's like, you know, it's not just you broke your arm. Imaging is going to be used in the future of medicine to be able to detect problems before we get these chronic and horrific diseases. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Down at a facility down in Claremont County, they do logistics. You know, a lot of young people sitting around virtual. They don't own any trucks. They take loads and they hook them with trucks. And they're on the phones, and they're working, and they're excited, and they're ringing bells, and it's like being at Google. You know, so you don't need to have 4 years there. But the beautiful thing about the community colleges are that, number one, it can fit what is needed out there. Number two, the community college in Ohio is a pathway to the 4-year degree as well. And people worry about high tuition. Spend a couple years at one of Ron's community colleges and you'll cut your tuition total by what, Ron? 25%? A third to a half. So the community college and it's starting to change, and people are starting to recognize it. And it fits perfectly in with the 4-year institution. It's like all good. If we can really get the companies working closely with the community colleges and the universities. Now, we are on a major effort, which has now started in Cincinnati, to align our educational institutions with business opportunities. Look, some people go to school because they want to be in philosophy, they want to think, they want to publish, they want to write. But a lot of people go and get higher education because they're doing it as a pathway not to sort of a social science, but to a real job at Honda or Philips or any of these other great companies that we have inside of our state. And in Cincinnati, what we're beginning to do is to bring the educational institutions, including our community colleges, in a room with business leaders and getting business leaders to tell us what it is they're going to need immediately, what they're going to need in the next couple of years, what they're going to need in the next 5 years. So when you enroll in a community college, you have a sense of where you're going to go and how you're going to have success once you graduate. Because there is currently growing frustration with college graduates who are not prepared to get a job because they don't have the skills. And so if we can align all that, we can become a real powerhouse in the country and have a reputation that will circle the globe or come to Ohio for excellence and work and to find your passions. This is really, really, really critical. The community colleges are first responders. You know, when the oil and gas industry needs people who are welders or needs people with certain specific things to work on a wellhead, the community colleges should be the first responders to train people immediately for the jobs that exist. There's nothing more valuable than that. And we have a lot of demands inside of our state for quick training, for jobs that exist that pay a lot of money. So, you know, what we celebrate here today is the excellence of our students in the community college to make it clear to mom and dad and make it clear to students as they get older that excellence resides in our community colleges. The second message is we need to be able to use the community colleges as these first responders and fully integrate it with higher education and get our education institutions aligned with the exciting opportunities of the 21st century. And here, today, we honor you to send a message. You go to the community colleges, you will be of excellence. Your education will be worth it. The resources that you spend to get ahead will happen. And I want to thank Dr. Abrams for his work in trying to understand and respond to this vision, because I believe it's a vision that can work economically for the state of Ohio. We can get ahead of the rest of the country and stay on the path, which is, fantastic here in the last 14 months. #1 job creator in February, #5 job creator over the last year. Ohio's back. But you get good news, you use it for more good news. You don't sit on the good news. You don't spend the good news. You use the good news to leverage for more great things. And that is precisely what we are about, what this team is about. And again, to the winners, congratulations and best of luck. And thank you all for letting me have a moment to speak today. God bless you.